Okay guys, good evening and welcome to Wednesday Night League. This is the Mugen Masters, the NSX League, brought to you by Eldar Racing and of course proud sponsored of Shell Lawman Motorsport. I'm your host, and with me as per usual in the commentary box is none other than Will, who also used to race in this league. So good evening, Will.
Good evening, Andy.
How are things?
They're going alright. How about you?
Yeah, not too bad, mate, not too bad considering, but should be a good night. We're here at the glorious Mount Fuji circuit in Japan, and we were obviously at Japan last week, so we're not gone far. But hopefully it should be a good night of racing. We've got some new people and we've also got some series returnees. So I will give Will the honour to do the points, and then we will see who's here, and I will give you a detailed layout of the circuit.
Okay, so after the last week's fantastic showing by Gareth Morris, he's in first in the standings by 2 points ahead of Adam Morgan. Ryan McVeigh is in third on 37 points. Craig Thomas in fourth on 34. Thomas Gill with 33, Lee Fitzy with 24, Brian Ross with 20, Atkinson on 18, Neil Smale, who's unfortunately pulled out, is on 13, Tom Holland on 11, Simon Smith is on 2, who's also left, and as has Neil Hall with 1 point.
So, as you can tell, that is the point standings going into round number 2 of the series here at the legendary Mount Fuji circuit. This circuit is known for its weather. It looks like it's hot and it looks like it's humid. So, as I will say, I'll give you a detailed track tour, and also we'll go through who's here and potentially we'll see what happens. Obviously, you know, we do have technically a 10-minute qualifying and then 3 15-minute races, which makes it very exciting. And if anything goes as of last week in the third race between the Hattelad and of course Gareth Morris, for those who remember, they both had a bit of a contact and a bit of a battle all race long, and then it's nearly ended in tears. And I think Will and I afterwards were thinking, what have we just seen? But I'll give you a quick guide to the track. So you've got that long 1 kilometre straight. It is quite amazing, and it is going to lead into a very tight hand, well, 2 tight right hand bends, and then you go through into Coca-Cola, which obviously shouldn't be really endorsing sugary drinks, but you know. But then you go to, I think it's 100R, which is it towards the back end a bit, and then you got the hairpin, and it's obviously 300R, and then Dunlop, and then obviously you've got 13 and 14, and then obviously you've got the tight bit at the back, so it's a back-to-back chicane, so it goes, well, not chicane, hairpins, they go left and then right, so you go, the right is Panasonic, so it will be very interesting to see what will happen there. So obviously Fuji, known for its volcano in the background, as you can see on the start finish line. I don't know if you can see it actually on here, but it is going to be quite amazing. I believe this circuit back in the day was actually for basically NASCAR, I believe, from what I've heard in advance, but I can see whether it would be or not. But you know, it's like I say, it's going to be hot and humid, and obviously Will and I are going to be obviously roasting in the comms box as per usual, because it is that warm out on track. But so far, Darren Baldwin, aka is our idol, welcome back to him. He's come back for probably some couple of races to see how well he gets on. He's normally in the comms box, so it's, you know, it's nice to see. Going to be very interesting. So yes, Will, if you like to go through the field, and then we will go through some of the comments on the stream.
So obviously in first we've got Gill in first, less than a tenth ahead of Ryan McVeigh, just coming out of nowhere, ahead of Gill. Gareth Morris only a tenth and 3/4 behind. Chris Wheatley in fourth. Darren Baldwin in 5th, only just underneath 8 tenths. Bruno Batika in 6th. Welcome to him to the series. He fortunately wasn't able to make it to the last race. Tom Holland in 7th. Scott Fenton returning face. Obviously not to this series, but to Wednesday night racing. Raced initially in the Sports Car Cup. Leaf Bitsy in 8th. Brian Robson in 9th. Atkinson in 11th, just coming out of the pits. Craig Thomas in 12th. And just exiting, rejoining the lobby is a new face to racing, Jack Pacino. A warm welcome to him. Hopefully he'll put up a good fight to these guys.
Yep.
It should be a good race. I think we've got a full grid as well, if I'm not mistaken.
That should be good.
Just have a look. Yeah, Adam Morgan's just left, so once he gets back in we should have 14 drivers.
So we should have 14 out of the possible 14, but yes, it's going to be very exciting, as Will has give you the guided the drivers for this evening. As I say, we are here at Mount Fuji, and the guys are probably thinking, not Japan again, but you know. But obviously Fuji is very interesting. I like this circuit myself. I've only done probably one event here, and that was in the GR2 cars as a tester event, and it is punishing on the circuit, but it is nice to see a full grid in this division and obviously this league, and you know, it is going to be very amazing. So as Darren's just put morning, which it could be pretty much interesting. He's obviously, bless him, he's got a lot of things going on at the moment, but it will be potentially, hopefully things get back to normal for him. Neil Hall unfortunately missing out on the grid. He says good luck all. It's a shame he's not taking part. Someone called Lovebot, I have no idea who that is, you have to just bear with. Is Neil Smale not coming back? He was awesome last week. Yes, he was, but I believe some issues elsewhere has prevented him from returning. Kim Sargent, obviously wife of Nick, the Hammer Games, says good luck guys, thank you. I hope you're going to enjoy watching the stream, and hopefully we get some good action. If anything goes by last week, when we had obviously Gareth and of course Ryan battling for first place in race 3, as we remember it nearly ended up in tears. It could be very interesting this evening.
Yeah, definitely. Even though it was Ryan McVeigh and Gareth Morris battling out for that 3rd race win, you've got to remember that the first 2 races were absolutely dominated by Adam Morgan. Yeah. So
exactly.
He could be well up there, putting up a good fight.
So there could be either way. What a couple of the guys that were on the money last week could be on it yet again, and potentially produce spectacular racing as per usual. Obviously, don't discount Scott Fenton and obviously Darren Baldwin, obviously making their returns to the series, and obviously the new guys as well. It'll be very interesting to see what they can do, as Hattelad gets it a bit crossed up. I believe he's on his wheel. He's just obviously fighting a lot of understeer at the moment, going out of that hairpin, or towards the run-up of the hairpin there. But if anything goes by the race 3, and obviously when it got dominated by Adam Morgan last week, obviously no, it's not British Touring Car star Adam Morgan, it is another Adam Morgan, just to get that out of the way. But you know, it will be very interesting to see. So obviously we have qualifying, a 10-minute qualifying around here at 7:45 UK time, and now 3 very exciting 15-minute races. I think Hattelad's trying to drift, but I'm not too sure. But it looks like he's doing donuts at the minute. But who can blame him? But it's only practice, but I think he'll be a force to be reckoned for. As of
definitely. He's shown not just in the NSXs, but in the Ferraris last season. He was way up there. Won the last 2 races in Berlin. Couldn't quite beat Morris in Tokyo.
No, but I think he kind of when it was at Tokyo last season in the Ferraris, I think he was just trying to get a rhythm and get ready for exactly what was to come for the rest of the season. But obviously, when you get a penalty, take it before, obviously on the lap you get it on the start-finish line, before the timing beam, otherwise it will go against your time, and we do not want that. But we shall see what happens. I think Ryan likes to just show off at the minute, but we'll just go through, see what else everyone else is doing. So obviously Chris Wheatley, nearly can't get my words out then, is 5th fastest at the moment, so he's come back and it's going to be good to see him back as per usual. It's obviously, like I say, it's nice to see everyone, and it is nice to have technically a full grid, which will be amazing. And obviously the Japanese fans are going to love it, because not only is Fuji technically Japanese, and if I get this wrong I will probably consult my own manager and say to myself that no, it is not. I think it is Honda owned over in Japan, but I'm not too sure. I could be entirely wrong. Suzuka's, yeah, Suzuka is, I think, one other, but I believe Fuji could be one of them, but I'm not too sure. Don't correct me, I've been watching too much Japanese Super GT just to get ready for tonight, so you know. And good evening to the Oz Rooster. Go Moz. Ooh, he wants Moz to go well.
It's owned by Toyota.
Of course it is. See, I knew I was going to be wrong. But hey, never mind. So many tracks in Japan that are owned by car manufacturers, you know. As I say, I've been watching too much Super GT, and especially here at Fuji, to get ready for this evening. But I'm sure it will be a cracker no matter what. And you know who we're putting for tip for pole position.
I mean, if you look at the top 7, are only separated by 8/10, so with Slipstream that could well be overhauled at 8/10. So at the moment it seems on paper it could be that any of the top 7 could win any of these races.
Yep. It'd be interesting to obviously see what goes on here, because obviously you've got, like I say, you've got that technical back-to-back hairpin. So you've got obviously the first hairpin, which is a left, and then through Panasonic, leading on to that I think it's 1,000 kilometers straight, and then obviously into the first 2 turns, which is kind of going to be very interesting to see what happens within obviously the time of whether people sit back for a bit before they go out for qualifying. As we just look at Brian Ross here, he's at the moment it's 10th fastest in practice, but you know he's obviously learning the car very well. You know, it's going to be very interesting to see what he can do, because he was doing well last week as well. And yeah, obviously at the moment, you know, Craig Thomas is obviously just beaten by, let's have a look, just by a bit there, but I think Craig's struggling a bit, because we did have that discussion over at round 1 whether he was struggling, but obviously he got a podium in race 3 if I remember rightly. But I believe at the moment he's just slowly getting back into the rhythm of being obviously in a bit more versatile compared to what he's been used to. Obviously he steps up into the British Touring Cars as of next Friday, but obviously he was racing in the 208 GTI Cup last night that Eldar Racing proudly present, and obviously me racing in it, he put up a good fight to get past me last night, so it'll be very interesting to see what Craig can actually do. So obviously, you know, it's going to be very interesting. Inga Holmes in, I believe, because now Timmy's now in that. Dream seems to have frozen my phone, but never mind. I'll just get it back up. And it's just me.
Maybe into that turn 4 or 5.
It'd be interesting, and it'd be very interesting. We've got to get the all-important 10-minute qualifying indeed. But hopefully jobs are good and we get things up. It all comes to a battle, but obviously you got the top two, obviously Ryan and Gareth at the moment, still top two in practice, but will it be top two in qualifying? But you know, it can be technically one of them. But you know,
well, if you've been watching
the ACC,
Saturdays,
no, it's Sundays.
how to win a race, and look, just 4.5 tenths behind the top two, so there you go then. All he has to do is really adapt to the spectacle to
yeah.
But, well, you should definitely be able to put up a good fight to Gareth, Timmy and
It's going to be very interesting because we are about a minute away from obviously qualifying, and to see what happens within obviously 10-minute qualified of things will be. But obviously as a lad's put in that he's warming up his tyres, well, it didn't look like he's warmed hoon, but will be interesting for this evening. So we'll just get ready for qualifying and see what happens within qualifying. Donut, he's looks like his photographers are and the spectators a love laugh and get ready for qualifying.
It's time for now.
Yes. Assetto Corsa Competizione League on a Sunday if we're struggling for a sponsor for them as well. So for qualifying at round number 2 of the NSX Mugen Masters here at the legendary Mount Fuji, or Fuji, and 10-minute qualifying starts now. Last minute carnage in Scott Fenton has a pit glitch, so
problems back in BTCC.
Yeah, everyone to leave, and we'll leave the
Hasn't managed to figure out why this sort of glitch happened.
No, I don't think they have.
Who's left? Says that Chris is left.
Chris is left. I think he's
got to wait for Scott now to rejoin. And
yeah, we'll wait for him to rejoin. You got to say the banter between the guys in the.
It's good to see the ball get on. There's
no, which is good, and it's what we like to see, and it's obviously makes it feel better for obviously people like ourselves, and obviously, you know, it will be very interesting. Obviously, you know, it is, as I say, it can be. You can get good days and bad days doing commentary, but you know, say the Eldar Sim Racing. If you're not sure, guys, go and check us out. And I say every week there is a league for everyone. It doesn't matter how good you are at driving or racing. You can just find a league that suits you, or just ask what's available, and someone will get in touch. One of the admin teams will get in touch. So you're fine, and hopefully there's no more pit glitches. Will. And let's see what happens. Yes, so let's see what happened of qualifying here at Mount Fuji. It is kind of going to be very interesting, you know. Let's just double check. I believe Lee Fitzy likes to wait for just everyone just to go out of pit lane. So does, I believe, Dean Atkinson. So I believe they're the last two to leave, but at the moment I think they're just playing it cool, because obviously with the way it's going out of pit lane, so we'll see what happens with it in obviously 10 minutes of qualifying. So let's have a look. Just double check, yeah, them two are just leaving now, so that's good. Everyone's out on track for qualifying. It's nice to see 14 of these beautiful GT4 Honda NSX is out on track, and we'll say, Will, you do a very good job.
Yeah, the liveries look good, nice look good. Always good to see lots of colour variation on track.
Yep.
It doesn't make it easier for people to watch, but it just looks.
It's going to be very interesting. So I reckon they'll probably get 3 or 4 flying laps around here, depending on how obviously traffic committing, and obviously certain other things. But you know, Will, you've raced in this series. Obviously, you're not raced in these cars, but you know, what's it like to be on the grid with these guys? And obviously, you know, okay, I'm in the comms box, but you know, some of these guys I've never raced with, or I have done, but it's been a while. What do you reckon?
They're all fantastic drivers. I think I've raced everyone in this grid, besides Adam Morgan and Tim, but they're all good drivers. They all know what they're doing. It's more that they're respectful and clean. They don't show each other off at every given opportunity. More than their skill.
So far, Hasselblad's got a 1 second penalty, hampering him just a little bit in qualifying, but obviously it will. Guys can do behind him. At the moment, obviously, like I say, they're on the first. Obviously, with traffic around here, can be a massive issue. And speaking of Mount Fuji, there it is with some beautiful snow on it. But yes, well, as I was saying, it will be very interesting to see what the guys can do here. And obviously, you know, having myself and Will in the comms box makes it a lot easier, so we know where the battles are coming from during the races. But obviously during qualifying, you know, anything can happen. You know, you can have a car from, let's say, 8th up into 1st place if they time the correct moments. But we've got 6.5 minutes left of qualifying, and that, I believe that 1,000 kilometers straight is a killer on trying to chase down. But so far Hasselblad has the benchmark, but then Darren Baldwin got pipped, but then obviously Gareth Morris there, so he's going to be a force to be reckoned for. The times are coming in thick and fast, so we'll try and go through the grid and obviously the times when we can. So what do we reckon, Will?
Well, it is still early doors. Even Ryan McVeigh, with that 1 second penalty he received for that last lap, he's still only 1.1 seconds behind. So in reality that was actually just a 10th. And knowing the GT penalty system being the appalling mess it is, it could well be that he lost that 10th through that mistake anyway. So it's still not quite certain what the gaps are at the front. Obviously Darren's putting in a good job as well to hop out at the last moment. We're just looking, it is still only about 2 seconds up until 10th or so, which is still ridiculously close.
So with 5 minutes to go, let's have a look what's going to happen. Obviously we're just going to look further down the field just to see, as I say, you know, with the guys obviously out on track, the positions where they are on track now, obviously, you know, it doesn't mean that obviously the likes of obviously Darren Baldwin, who's second fastest at the moment, even though he's on the road probably like 4, maybe 5 cars up the road, you know, he's still obviously second with his time. But obviously Timmy's done 143.0, and then obviously Adam Morgan with 143.8. But then it's going to be very interesting. So you got Chris Wheatley, obviously was doing quite well. He jumped up to 4th, and then Scott Fenton just pipped him. Tom Holland with 144.2, and then Brian Ross with 144.4. As I say, it's going to be very interesting. And obviously traffic here, as I say, at the moment, you know, you got the fastest guys. You know, you still got obviously Dean Atkinson with a 143.8. But as I say, traffic's now getting a bit close and a bit narrow at some point. But it's the joys, isn't it, Will? Because, you know, any of these guys can be on pole position even without us knowing. You know, we could watch them now, but then the timings can be really jump up, and obviously the faster guys will obviously prove who they're made of. But then you've got the ones in the midfield that are also equally as good. But, you know, it's going to be very interesting. What do you reckon?
Yeah, definitely. Just watching Ryan McVeigh is definitely getting getting all the apexes, really going for it. He's letting the car slide out, but not too much.
Yeah.
He's using all the track. Could well be pole position.
It could be a good. It could be a good lap here. Let's see what he can do with 3 minutes left. Or is he going to jump? I believe he's going to jump into pit lane. That's a bit of an unusual tactic from some of these guys.
It's just to sort of change tyres and then have that one last flying lap.
Yep. So obviously Chris Wheatley did 1:43.6. Brian's improved his time by obviously a couple of tenths. Craig Thomas there, obviously, the real Osman. Absolute star in obviously last night's races with a 1:43 point. I can't even remember what that was, but you know, we've got 2 minutes 13 to go, and it will be very interesting to see what these guys can do. You know, it's looking like obviously the guys that swap tyres obviously are going to be on cold tyres, but hopefully they will pick up. Obviously, you know, it will probably still count, but Moz has got a 5/10 penalty. I think he ran a bit wide there, but he's still on provisional pole position at the moment, so it will be very interesting to see what happens.
He is on his out lap as well, so obviously this lap won't count because he's just exited the pits, so he's probably going to get rid of this penalty sometime through the lap.
Which he has done into Dunlop, obviously into the tight chicane. That's going to be a factor come the racing, especially with 14 cars on the grid.
Yeah, definitely. The grid is actually quite mixed up if you look at it. You've got Moz and Timmy up there. Darren's up there with Lee Fitzy in fourth, who wasn't quite up there last week, but he was still bringing in some points.
Yeah.
Scott Fenton just coming out of nowhere in fifth. Craig Thomas not quite as competitive as he was last week.
Nope.
Adam Morgan definitely not. Going down in ninth.
Yeah.
He's got them fresh boots on. Ryan McVeigh only in 10th, so he must have made a mistake on that last lap. We're in our 10th now. Tom Holland in 12th, which...
It's a big surprise, really, isn't it?
Yeah. And just looking back down in 14th, obviously some people will obviously not know who it is, but Baceno, he's not really raced before, and he's actually... Going by the fact he's only about, what, 1.3 seconds behind Ross?
Yeah.
He's doing quite well.
He's doing well to have that in his stride, so it will be very... Yeah. So he's obviously got consistent times, but you know, obviously he's not raced before, so obviously, like I say, it's going to be very interesting what he can do. But you know, it's going to be very interesting. I believe some of the guys are still out on their flyers, but it's going to be probably technically interesting. But at the moment, you've got Gareth Morris still on provisional pole position, but he's got some of the midfield pack in front of him, or should I say between, obviously a bit of the sector. So there was a yellow flag there going out in towards obviously Panasonic, but I believe that is cleared now, so that should be okay, but we'll see what these guys can do.
Darren getting out of the way of two drivers, not thinking he can't improve on his time.
Ooh, there's a surprise. And he was down the bottom, so you know, Scott Fenton's beat him.
Out of nowhere.
That's a surprise. See if he's returning and he sticks it on pole position. It's going to be very interesting. Scott likes his green and grey cars though, I must admit.
Quite nice, like a fighter jet in a way.
Yeah. So...
Sit on a lap? Is that it?
I don't know, I believe that is it, because I believe Fitzy was in pit lane, but then obviously Brian Ross decided to sit out the rest of the session, so I believe that is it for qualifying. So Scott Fenton takes pole position for the first of 3 races this evening at Fuji Speedway. So we'll just have a couple of seconds before we get ready for race 1. And, you know, fair play to Scott. He's obviously, where did that time come from? Because he was running a bit mid-pack, but we are getting ready for the first race at Fuji Speedway. So you've got Scott Fenton from Ryan McVeigh, from Gareth Morris and Tim, and obviously Darren, Lee Fitzy, Craig Thomas, Chris Wheatley, Memorexis, Inca Holmes, Frowney and Pineapple Head. So we have got the green flag from the back of the grid. Hopefully the red lights will come on now, and it probably will be a bit of a wait to see what happens as about to turn to green, as they do now, and we are getting ready for a very interesting 15-minute race here at Mount Fuji. So far Scott Fenton has the jump on Ryan McVeigh, but as you can see, Gareth Morris tries to cut the nose in front of Timmy there to jump up still into 3rd place. But you know, you've got obviously Timmy in 4th, you've got Darren Baldwin in 5th, followed by Lee Fitzy. But this is going to be very interesting. Tom Holland there in 7th place. But look at these cars are actually amazing, and you know, we'll see what happens further back. But so far Darren's still in 5th place, still trying to chase it on to the back of these guys, and we'll see what's happening at the back. So what's going on at the back, Will?
Looks like Baceno and Ross are having a little bit of a fight. Still quite close between Thomas, Atkinson and Ross and Baceno. But as Atkinson goes through, doesn't quite get it done, but Ross goes around the outside. Can Baceno get the cutback on any of them? Not quite. Well, Atkinson did cut that corner there, so did he get a penalty?
Yes, he has got one. It just flashed up then. But going back to this battle at the front at the moment, you've got obviously Scott Fenton trying to lead the way. You've got Timmy versus Gareth Morris, so Timmy's going to be launching onto the back of Gareth Morris. But as we say that, Tom Holland's under threat from none other than Chris Wheatley for 7th place going down this long straight here at Fuji. This is obviously round number 2 of the Eldar Sim NSX Mugen Masters, brought to you by Shell Lawman Motorsport. And it is going to be very interesting, as I believe Chris Wheatley's trying to make a move on Lee Fitzy there, which tried to push him a bit wide, but Timmy's actually on a charge, but Moz has got past him. Darren Baldwin's thinking about getting past there for potentially 4th place. We'll try and see what he can do here. Obviously Darren jumping back into the driving seat after having a couple of weeks doing commentary duties, so it will be very interesting to see what he can do. So hopefully we'll go back towards the rear of the field and see what's going on very shortly. But I've just got to concentrate on this battle between obviously Darren and of course Timmy. He's obviously heading into Dunlop for the 2nd time.
Timmy runs a bit deep there, so Darren might get a better exit going into that final sector. Goes for a look.
Has a bit of a tap, yeah, has a bit of a tap there. But obviously a seasoned veteran like Darren, he does a lot, bless him. But he may get the move. He made a mistake there, which has cost him a bit of ground. It's only cost him 1 place though. But he's going to jump onto the back of Lee Fitzy going down down the start finish line. There's a bit of contact, but obviously Lee Fitzy's lost a bit of ground there because it's cost him 2 places. So Chris Wheatley up into 5th place. Now we'll just have a look what's happening a bit further back. But you can see from, obviously, I believe it's from 5th down, it's very interesting to see what happens. I believe Moz has got up into second from Ryan McVeigh just as we were looking, and we will see what's happening up at the front. Scott Fenton's eking out that gap. He's got a 1.2 second gap there of, well, obviously a Gareth Morris, so that would be very interesting indeed.
He's doing a brilliant job. Morris just already got past. Or
Ryan just gets past him there going into the hairpin.
Morris won't take too kindly from that. A fair bit of contact there.
Yeah. So obviously the two rivals at the moment, you've got Darren Baldwin back up into 5th place from his earlier mistake, but he's got Chris Wheatley behind him. Obviously Adam Morgan and of course Lee Fitzey behind him. Obviously Craig Thomas up into 9th, still Memorex is still 10th place, fair play. It's good showing from Bruno in his first outing. Tom Holland at the moment down in 11th place, and then you've got Brian Ross, and then obviously you've got Snowstar, as I'm going to call him. You know him better than I do, Will. So, and then obviously you've got Dean Axington at the back of the field at the moment, but hopefully we will go back towards the front of the field. I believe Timmy's now under pressure from Gareth Morris going down the front straight. Is Gareth going to make the move going into turn number 1? As he sticks it out, yes he does. I thought he was going to. I thought he outbrakes himself though, which you know it's very easy to do, which has cost him time, which has allowed Timmy to go back into 3rd place. You've got Chris Wheatley still in 5th place, but obviously Darren's ended up in 11th. I don't know what's happened to him. I believe he's had a bit of an issue, so he's dropped down to 12th, which is a bit unfortunate. I believe he's had a bit of issues with Chris Wheatley there. But you've got...
You shouldn't be putting messages on chat during a race.
So you've got Tom Holland up into was he not? Yeah, he was 11th. There's a bit of contact between him and Memorex going into Dunlop, but you know that's obviously now got Tom Holland onto the back of Craig Thomas going into the first of 3 hairpins. So we'll see what happens, whether Tom Holland can make... Oh, Craig Thomas is... Yeah, Craig's mistake there has dropped him very wide down into 11th. So obviously, shame for Darren. He's
back onto Dean Atkinson, makes the move, but that was a good move from him there.
Yeah.
Keeps 12th place. I know it would have been 13th, but
obviously. But obviously, you know, Dean.
Side by side.
Yeah. Oh, Adam Morgan's trying to join the party as well, and it will be very interesting to see what happens with these guys. You know, excuse me. Where you got Adam Morgan in 6th place there. Chris Wheatley just drops into 7th, and then you've got none other. I'll see what's happening at the front. Gareth Morris at the moment still in 4th place, but you know Timmy's holding on for 3rd. But the gap has come down from Scott Fenton to Ryan McVeigh with 5.6. Well, it's near enough 5.5 now, just to catch up. But Ryan's on a massive charge here, Will.
He's done a brilliant job to catch up to Scott, but that's definitely one thing. But to overtake Scott is going to be another. He's not going to let him do it so easily.
No.
He's not going to go for a move, so Scott just takes an outside line and gets the better exit going into his final corner.
Yeah, but you've got to remember why these two battle. You've got the battle behind as well, which we can just see. Because now Gareth's now on a charge to Timmy, while we'll just look at these two here. While obviously the two up front, you know, it'd be interesting to see if the two up front actually close the gap to each other while they're battling, and obviously allow these two up in potentially third and fourth, but you know, it's going to be very exciting. I think Ryan's trying to make a move into turn number one. He's always actually made it stick. So Hasselad Ryan McVeigh, he's actually made a good move. Scott Fenton puts the wipers on in anguish, but you know, I think he'll come back to it, and you know, obviously we'll see what happens. But obviously these two aren't going to give up a fight. This is going to be very interesting now. But you see Timmy's still holding off Gareth Morris for third place at the moment. We'll just go back to obviously Lee Fitzy in fifth place, then you got Adam Morgan in sixth, then you got Chris Wheatley in seventh, Tom Holland in eighth, then you got Memorexis ninth, then you got Brian Ross with a 5/10 penalty. It's a bit unfortunate for Brian, but you know, fair play. He's not going to give in. He's in 10th. Craig Thomas behind him, and obviously Dean Atkinson's got past Snowstar there for potentially. Let's see what happens. But it's going to be very interesting. But we'll go back up to the front for the time being, because you've got Hasselad Ryan McVeigh obviously trying to hold off Scott Fenton, but as I say, it will be probably a close battle with just under 5 minutes remaining in this race.
Could well be a four-way battle for the lead. Obviously Lee Fitzy's dropped back ever so slightly, but he's still doing a good job to keep that close. But now Scott Fenton's really over the back bump from Ryan.
He is now, and it's going to. We'll see what happens going down this straight. Is he going to make make it stick before turn one? Let's have a look. Oh, this is a bit of a tap there. Scott goes a bit wide. Oh, so that's pushed. Yeah, so that's pushed Gareth up into second, and Timmy into third. Scott's not going to like that though, is he? To be fair.
No, he's really going to be going now, but he's going to be aided by the battle between Woz and Timmy. They're going to be slowing each other down.
Yeah,
so
it's going to be very interesting. Yep.
2 seconds to catch up to Ryan McVeigh with that 1,000 metre straight, kilometre straight going into turn one.
Yeah.
Could have a big boost.
It'll be very interesting.
The chicane outbreaks himself. Which is a bit unfortunate going into Dunlop. But you know, got 3.5 minutes remaining. But you know, this has been fantastic yet again. But obviously, Scott's gonna probably, you know, he's probably got the red mist in his helmet now after that bit of incident with Ryan. But hopefully, it should be a bit more interesting as we will. Scott was going to go for a move on Timmy there, but he knows he can.
He's obviously fought of it. Yeah. But we'll just go back to see what's happening further back at the moment. Chris Wheatley in 7th, then you got to pine up Tom Holland. Obviously in 8th, Memorexis doing a good job in 9th place at the moment. Craig Thomas in 10th place, Brian Ross in 11th, Dean Axington in 12th, and then Snowstar in 13th. But fair play, you know, look at this battle between Timmy and Scott Fenton. This battle itself is obviously come alive in the last couple of moments, but obviously we'll go back to this battle. We're not too sure whether Gareth will catch up to Ryan, but it will be very interesting to see whether he does or not. So is
mistake going up turn one there.
Let's have a look.
Looks like the Chano's dropped back ever so slightly as well. So
yeah, he has. But never mind, he'll catch up. It's part of the learning curve. But you know, it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very interesting. Just looking back at Tom Holland, there, he's trying to defend from obviously Memorexis for potentially 8th place. Obviously, the green and white car filling the orange and black car's mirrors to see what happens as we go into the Dunlop chicane. But we'll see what's happening up at the front. I believe Scott Fenton now has obviously still has 3rd place, but you know, he's probably going to want to try and catch these guys up at the front quicker than he can. But you've got 1 minute and 25 remaining, so this probably will be coming up onto the last lap of the race. but you can see what exactly how close this racing has been for some time, and you know, don't get me wrong, Will, it's going to be very interesting for the remaining 2 races.
Oh, especially for the last 2 races with them being reverse grids.
Absolutely.
The Chaino will have pole position.
Timmy tries to make a move, as he does, so Scott Fenton runs deep, but then Timmy runs deep, Scott Fenton gets back, pushes him a bit wide, but you know, fair play, Scott's got back into 3rd place there. I don't think Gareth is going to catch up to Ryan unless Ryan makes a massive mistake. But you know, anything can happen in these races. You look what happened in race 3 last week, as Ryan was trying to catch onto the back of Gareth, and they ended up in a slight bit of contact. But you know, obviously it's going to be very amazing to see. I'll just quickly run through the field. Obviously Memo Rexis has now got past Tom Holland for potentially 8th place there, so it's going to be very good for him. He'll get a good starting spot for race number 2, so we'll see what happens. But obviously at the moment, Ryan McVeigh holding on to that lead. He's, you know, it is obviously 1.2 seconds to obviously Gareth, but you know, who knows what can potentially happen within potentially each and every corner. But I believe Hasselad will have it covered, and he will take potentially a well-deserved victory in race 1 here at Fuji Speedway. And you know, it's going to be very interesting for the rest of the racing. Obviously Ryan's flashing the lights in anticipation. You know, he's going to like that. Scott Fenton probably will not like having 3rd place, but you never know, Scott might be happy with that. He might have learned a trick or 2 for race 2, so we'll see what happens. Timmy in 4th, Lee Fitzy comes home in 5th, Chris Wheatley 6th, Adam Morgan 7th, Memrexis 8th, Tom Holland in 9th, Brian Ross in 10th, Craig comes home in 11th, Dean Atkinson 12th, and of course Snowstar will be potentially going to be coming home in 13th. But fair play, you know, and they can't fault these guys, they will.
Yeah, exactly. They all put in a good race. Obviously, Ryan McVeigh having the best race of the lot. Was a bit of a sketchy move on Scott now, pushing him wide. Scott was well alongside, but
but it's just one of them, isn't it? It's one of them, and I'll, you know, let's grab the replay, and then I'll grab the race results, and then we'll go through them. So, race 1 here at Fuji Speedway for the Eldar Sim, brought to you by Shalom and Motorsport Mugen Masters. Ryan McVeigh takes a well-deserved victory in race 1, followed by Gareth Morris and of course Scott Fenton. Scott Fenton may have a bit of work to do in race 2, but you know, Scott will not give up a fight. Then you had Timmy coming home in 4th, Lee Fitzy in 5th, Chris Wheatley 6th, and Adam Morgan 7th, Memrexis in 8th, Tom Holland 9th, Brian Ross 10th, Craig Thomas 11th, Dean Atkinson 12th, and Snowstar in 13th. Fastest lap actually went to Hasselad with a 1:43.045 on lap number 4, and yes, that is going to be probably one of the most thrilling races. I know, you know, Fuji with that long straight at the start finish line, it is probably going to be potentially interesting to see. Obviously, sadly, we lost Darren Baldwin. He was doing so well at the start of the race, but I believe his NSX decided to have electrical fault. But you never know, it is going to be potentially interesting to see what Snowstar can do. Even with his new racing experience, it is going to be obviously a rolling start for race 2, but obviously it will be Snowstar on pole position. So obviously it will be very interesting to see, as I say, Will, for race 2, and it will be one of them.
Will be definitely one to watch, because Scott won't take very kindly to to being pushed wide by Ryan.
Yeah.
Ryan saying he left more than a car's width, but on stream it didn't look like.
It's hard to it's hard to tell because obviously, like I say, it is narrow and it is going to be very interesting. Just obviously with the way things are going to go, because like I said, with turn one going to be narrow, it is going to be margin for error and it can be controvertible. But we'll see what happens. You know, I know they're kind of having a bit of an argument now, but you know, leave it for later. It's not necessary, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, it'll be great to see what happens with obviously Snowstar starting on pole position, and you know, obviously it is a reverse grid. Is it rolling start, Will, or is it standing? I can't remember.
It's good start, yeah.
So it's going to be a good old grid start, so it'll be very interesting to see who gets off the line very quickly. But obviously you don't want to get off the line very quickly, because if you go in the red light it's going to obviously hamper you and it will give you a bit of a penalty, as I found out in a testing lobby the other week. But yes, even the seasoned pros like myself, that's an admin and obviously seasoned commentator, does it, but you know it's just one of them. But you know, we'll see what happens for race 2. I believe we will be starting in around a couple of minutes.
Yeah, just waiting for Atkinson to join back.
But yeah,
it's the same sort of cases as last week. With it's still hard to tell who's at the top and who's not quite there.
Yeah.
If you remember, we couldn't really figure out who was going to be a distinct leader.
That's right.
The 3 races.
That's correct.
So, at the moment, it's still the same sort of thing. Everyone was sort of well up there.
Yeah, of course.
With sort of circumstances such as Scott being pushed wide, or Chris making that mistake, Aaron doing the same. I think he did it. But it's really not quite. It's really not easy to sort of say who's the fastest.
No, it's not easy to know who's going to be fastest here. It's not going to be easy to determine who's going to lead the championship after this evening. But you know, as we see Memorexius, he's saying there's quick drivers here. Yes, there is. But you know, fair play to him. He finished 8th in his first race, and I tell you what, he should be happy with that, because you know it is coming into a championship when you've not raced with people. Okay, he knows Ryan, but to race against some of the guys like he's not raced before, it's an amazing achievement. Yeah, okay. When I was racing last night in the Peugeot 208 GTI Cup, yeah, some of them I've raced against before, but some of them I've commentated on before, and I tell you what, it's very hard to obviously get transition from obviously commentator back into a racing car, and you know, fair play. But there is a lot of people here. I'll tell you what, it's very easily and potentially going to be very interesting to see what happens.
Brian's in the chat has just said, on the Facebook chat, saying that Darren's setting a bad example by race quitting. So some people aren't happy with it.
Well, we'll just leave it for now, because obviously, you know, we don't want to have arguments, but we will see what happens in race 2.
Well, let's get it kicked off then. Everyone's sort of there.
So let's get race 2.
I know from experience Tom Holland's been usually quite rapid off the line, so
yep,
you could well make some positions. Not quite sure where he started exactly, but and the guys at the front, Vicino and Atkinson, they've got to just stay calm and
just keep calm and collective about it. Yeah,
take their own line, don't sort of push people off, or it's really early doors, so it's not the best sort of thing to do to
No,
shut
so
people off.
getting the 5 lights to turn to green any moment. Revs the building, and so am I, and the green lights turn on. So let's get ready for another 15 minutes. I nearly said 15 laps, but you know. As we see Snowstar leading into turn number 1, Dean Atkinson and Craig have a bit of a tap, but Dean Atkinson gets the...
Getting a fantastic cutback. They're already up into second from
Already
fourth.
up, yep. So he's
Start from him.
let's see what happens. So Tom Holland trying to chase down Dean Atkinson at the moment. The real Osman, Craig Thomas in third place. Fair play to Snowstar though, holding on to 4th at the moment. But it is going to
Tom
yet...
Holland round the outside.
Round the
Sorry,
outside.
that
No.
was a fantastic move. Ooh, Bennett.
He's under threat though still.
Still on him, though.
Yeah, he's still under threat from Dean Atkinson. But you know, Tom Holland, if he's made a move like that, fantastic. He's probably going to be wanting to make amends. But I say fair play to Snowstar. We've obviously still holding on to 4th at the moment. You know, it's only his 2nd event, but he's doing very well so far. But you've got Brian Ross in 5th, followed by Adam Morgan. Yes, that is Adam Morgan. It's not British Touring Car Star, but you know, I have to. You've got Brian McVeigh still in 7th from obviously the rear field. Oh, what a shame for Snowstar, but you know he'll learn from this. It's going to obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be interesting, but he's obviously only got Timmy and Scott Fenton, of course. Scott Fenton. But look at the train of cars that are already trying to chase each other down. As we start the 2nd lap of the race, obviously Dean Atkinson at the moment. Tom Holland dropped down to 3rd, but you know this is going to be probably very interesting to see what happens. Snowstar still always outbroke himself, but you know, fair play. He's not lost it. He's got Memorexis behind him, but look at that. This is going to be
so close.
Yeah, it's going to be so close. Scott Fenton there, still in 8th place. Timmy and Hasselblad still ahead of him, but Inca Holmes still trying to push on. Obviously, Tom Holland still in 1st place, but he's obviously going to eke out this lead. Adam Morgan tries to make a move. Hasselblad around McVeigh, trying to potentially push on, trying to make amends for that start, I believe. You know, he's obviously, he's won race 1, but look at him, as we're going to Dunlop for the 2nd time. This battle with all these cars gagging up on each other, it's going to be very interesting.
Tom Holland's really taking advantage of already pulling out a 1.4 second gap from Atkinson.
Yeah.
Just really want to keep going, just to make sure that Hatterlad or Timmy can't get him by the end of the race.
Yeah, so it's looking very close in this battle from excuse me, from 2nd obviously down into potentially we'll see Timmy there trying to make a move on right McVeigh going down to the start finish line. Obviously you've got Scott Fenton alongside Timmy, but this is going to be fantastic. I cannot believe what I'm going to see. I believe, you know, Scott Fenton, he's on this charge, but the line of cars at the moment, obviously from 5th down, it's going to be very interesting. But the lead, you know, you've got Inca Holmes, Adam Morgan. He's got his firepower back from race 1. He's now up into 2nd place, so he's going to probably push on to Tom Holland there. But he's got Dean Atkinson behind him at the moment. Craig Thomas doing a fantastic job in 4th. But Frown, he's got a 1 second penalty. He's going to have to get rid of that this lap, obviously. But hopefully he will get rid of that. But hopefully it shouldn't hamper him. You've got Timmy still technically trying to fight, but obviously with Frowney trying to take his penalty, it's pushing the rest of the field closer and closer, you know.
Scott Fenton going for move on. Going for move on Ryan McVeigh following Timmy.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting. It'll be very interesting because especially with these two having a bit of history in race 1, you know, As Ryan McVeigh tries to make the move back. Got Memorex still in 8th place at the moment. Gareth Morris up into 9th place. Lee Fitzy in 10th, but so far he's set the fastest lap. But it's still early days at the moment. Look at all the gaggle of cars going through Panasonic there. I believe Timmy got a bit sideways there. So he's dropped back a bit.
Quite a few people this lap, especially trying to break that slipstream.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. You've got with the slipstream, you've got Hattelad now into 10th place, so he's actually now struggling quite a bit now in this race. He's obviously had a couple of argy-bargy. Gareth Morris goes deep into turn number 1 there, but that shouldn't. So that's
actually up into 11. Big crash there. What happened? Lee Fitzy, and who was that? Was that Ryan McVeigh? It was.
It was, yes.
Not sure what happened.
Ghosted and.
Maybe Lee had a penalty from somewhere and just
didn't.
Unghosted at the wrong time.
Which is a bit unfortunate, so that's dropped Hattelad down into 12th, Lee Fitzy into 13th, but you know, we'll see what's happening at the front, but at the moment, fair play to Memorex, he's up into 6th place at the moment though.
Tom Holland putting up a good fight to Adam Morgan though.
Yeah, this is going to be fantastic, going out of... Yeah.
Holding it to him.
So obviously Adam Morgan now takes the lead of the race. Going into the next hairpin, this is going to be fantastic. Tom Holland actually puts the move on him. Craig Thomas also tries to draw alongside, but there could be 4 cars because Scott Fenton's now lurking in the background. So this is going to be interesting with 8 minutes and 12 seconds remaining. Scott Fenton. Oh, Scott Fenton. Yeah. So that's not gonna go down well in the stewards room after the race. You know, I believe Scott Fenton was obviously trying to get past Adam Morgan, but obviously took him into the front. But that's pushed Adam obviously down the field, which is a bit unfortunate. As Memorexis there, look at Memorexis jumping. He must be absolutely ecstatic with what's going on at the moment. He's actually now up into 4th place. Fair play to him on his debut as well. But you know, fair play to him. You know, you got Dean Atkinson that's up still in 6th place, but you know, I don't think Adam Morgan's going to be very happy with what's gone on there. So you got obviously Snowstorm. It's still in 11th. You know, he's learning quite well. He's actually keeping up with the pack. But it's going to be very interesting. You got Hattelad Ryan McVeigh still in 10th place there. Gareth Morris just up to 3.3 seconds. Well, no, 0.2 now. Going into the Dunlop chicane. But I believe as Ryan tries to make a move on, Gareth going into the Dunlop chicane. But we'll just go through to see what's happening up further up. Obviously, as I say, Memorex is in 4th place at the moment. With obviously Bruno's doing a fantastic job. He's obviously getting coaching off Ryan McVeigh for potentially seeing what goes on. But Timmy has a bit of... He's in a lot of pressure, but fair play to him. He's held him off slightly, but then you've got a change for the lead. Tom Holland and Craig Thomas, they're trying to battle. Scott Fenton's obviously going to get the slipstream on these guys going across the line. But it's going to be very interesting going into turn number 1. It could end in tears. Could have 3 wide. We could have 3 wide. We got 3 wide. Oh, Scott Fenton takes the lead of the race, which is allowed obviously Craig Thomas into 2nd. It's cost Tom Holland a place. He's got Timmy up into 4th, but closely followed by Memorexis. The 3 at the front, they're going to obviously, with this battle the way they're going, potentially are going to invite the guys like Memorexis and of course Dean Atkinson and of course Chris Wheatley into the party. But you've got Timmy trying to make a move on Tom Holland into the hairpin there, which gets a bit sluggish. But we will see Hattelad Ryan McVeigh in 8th place, followed by Gareth Morris there, and you got Brian Ross in 10th. You got Adam Morgan 11th, Lee Fitchie in 12th, I believe. Snowstar's just, I think he's just having a bit of a leisurely drive at the moment, but fair play, he's still sticking up to this group. But he'll get another chance. But you know, we've got 5 minutes remaining. But this race is going.
10 minutes of racing, he's only 10 seconds behind Scott Fenton.
Exactly. So
he's done a brilliant job.
Yep. Oh, Tom Holland does a bit of a switch. Oh, there's a bit of contact. But I think because Tom had a bit of a twitch, he came back on. But remember, Rex is so far up into 3rd place. This is a good showing from Bruno. He's got his hazard lights on. I don't know whether he means it, but he's got some fast cars behind him now, so it's going to be very interesting. But we will see what happens. Tom Holland tries to think about overtaking him into turn number 1. Timmy also tries to make a move, but he's going to get. Rex is going to get swamped. A bit of argy-bargy. Oh.
Just flopping up, and then Ryan McVeigh almost collecting him.
Yeah. So that's cost obviously Bruno a couple of places now. So you know, I think that's the joys of running in that top 3 pack. You know, with the quicker guys round him.
Had a mistake as well. He's down in 13th.
Yeah. So that's going to be quite interesting for 12th and 13th. You got Lee Fitzy and Brian Ross having a bit of a battle for 10th and 11th. But as I say, it's been very interesting so far. Just 3.5 minutes remaining. But I believe Ryan McVeigh was trying to make a move on Timmy going into Dunlop chicane. Just caught a glimpse of that. But you know, Scott Fenton, fair play, he's up into the lead of the race. But you know, I think some of what he's going to have to realise, I think that, you know, okay, fair play to him, but you know, things might go his way, things might not. It all depends in the steward's room, obviously. But you've got Craig Thomas trying to chase him down, but obviously Craig's now getting a better showing as Tom Holland gets pushed wide out of the final turn there. But I believe Dean Atkinson's now going to catch him. And potentially Timmy's also going to be there. You've got the Hasselad. You've got, you know, Ryan's back up into his natural habitat trying to chase down these guys. But jeez, there's quite a lot of slipstream going down the front straight. Well, this is
Ryan McVeigh just put him a dummy there and attempt to get past Timmy,
which he does.
So far, but Timmy's got it cut back.
Timmy's got it back. Oh, Ryan's got it crossed. Yeah, he's got it crossed up, but Tom Holland's now dropped down into 5th place. Dean Atkinson, Ryan McVeigh has a penalty. He has a penalty there, but this is going to be very interesting with 2 minutes to go in the second race here at Fuji. But I'll tell you what, this way, Timmy's got it. Dean Atkinson, yeah, back up into 3rd place. Well, I'll tell you what, this race has not been. It's been exciting, I tell you, but you know, I think some of the drivers are going to probably be upset about certain things. But you know, it's racing and it happens. If Tom Holland can hold on and try to push up to the front now, he will. But I believe Craig's now trying to chase down Scott Fenton. But is it going to be enough, or is it going to be a bit of a big task? We'll see. But Tom Holland under threat from Timmy going in towards Panasonic, probably for the penultimate time. But it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be. But you see, Ryan McVeigh still have that bit of his penalty there. But look at these cars. There is about potentially probably 6 cars, maybe 7 cars battling it out for, obviously, from 3rd down. But this is fantastic stuff. I can't believe what. It's going to be very interesting. I can't believe what we are seeing. As we've said previously, Will, with these battles in the slipstream as it is.
4 wide into turn 1.
4 wide isn't going to make it for us, but that could have been.
Too well.
Yeah.
They all know what they're doing.
But obviously no, he's like 2 spots to obviously Tim and Dean. But this is going to be probably fantastic to see. But you know, obviously it's going to be very interesting. But you know, Timmy's trying to hold off obviously Dean and obviously Gareth and obviously Tom Holland, but you know, it's obviously this is what amazes me about this championship. The amount of drivers that are in it, and obviously they're on the money, and obviously they're trying to push on, and it's going to obviously potentially going to be very interesting as we go down into the Dunlop chicane for the final time. It's potentially four, 3 wide. Look, Frowney's lost out there. Gareth Morris comes back into 5th place. You've got Adam Morgan there. Potentially 7th, Dean Atkinson. Oh, gets a bit pushed out wide. You got Hattelad and obviously Adam Morgan still battling. It's hard to see what's going on because Lee Fitzie's now joining. There's a lot of contact there, and I'll tell you what, Lee Fitzie's joining the party. But I believe, you know,
Scott Fenton having a good race.
He's got a good race there. He's dominated.
Start to finish, having a good start. Yeah. It's the win by 4 seconds.
Yep, so Craig Thomas comes home in potentially...
There's a dead heat over the line.
Yeah, so Gareth Morris just gets it. Tom Holland at 5th. Ryan comes in 6th. You know, that pack there from 3rd down, it's obviously interesting. And obviously, you know, it will be very interesting to see what happens. But we will see, because I believe there's going to be a lot of fighting talk ongoing because of that race. But I'll tell you what, that was great, and I'll tell you this, Will, it's going to line up pretty decent for the last race of the evening.
Yeah.
Yep. So what I will do, I will give you results of race 2 and why we get ready for race 3. So you have Scott Fenton, the Irishman, as everyone likes to know him as, taking the win, followed by Craig Thomas. Craig Thomas will be happy getting 2nd place. Timmy coming home in 3rd place, followed by Gareth Morris in 4th, and then Tom Holland in 5th. Ryan McVeigh in 6th. Had a bit of issues early on, but you know, fair play, he's come back to 6th. Dean Atkinson in 7th, followed by Adam Morgan, Lee Fitzy, Brian Ross and Chris Wheatley, and then Memorexis, and of course Snowstar there, obviously with a lap down, but fair play, he's not give up. He's, you know, he did really well to hold off for quite some time, but then obviously, you know, I think obviously new to racing, but we're not going to curse him and we're not going to disrespect him. He will do very well. He will start on pole position yet again for race number 3. Fastest lap went to Ryan McVeigh with a 1:42.7 on lap number 6, and will, race 3 is going to be very exciting.
Definitely. It was definitely a spectacle watching everyone battle through the pack. Not just overtaking each other, but towards the end it looked like everyone sort of given up. It was just throwing it into everyone over curbs, all sorts. It was just not the right thing we wanted to see. I just need to relax.
Yeah, don't worry, mate. Just keep it cool. They should know better, mate. That's all I'm going to say. It's down to them. But, you know, I think what they need to do is just, you know, calm down a bit. From what we've seen, it's, you know, the best thing to do is take it to the steward's room after the race, and then that's the best thing to do. There is, you know, I do feel like, yeah, okay, there was some silly moves, but, you know, we're here to commentate and we're here to potentially see what happens. But, you know, it's not nice to see that they're arguing, but, you know, we can't do anything about it. We're just here to commentate and do what we can do. But they know what to do, mate, you know. But race 3 should be a cracker. Obviously it will be one of them, but hopefully things go to plan, and hopefully, you know, the guys can put on a amazing fight for another victory. Obviously fair play to Scott Fenton, but, you know, I think these things do happen in racing, but obviously, you know, it is just going to be pretty much interesting to see what happens. And fair play, Will, you are sticking at it, mate, and, you know, just just do what you can, mate. You know, I know it's hard. The emotions are there, but we're going to be fine. You know, we'll get through it.
Penalties will be applied to anyone who's been locking about and smacking into anyone. Scott Fenton on Adam Morgan might be a bit of a...
That might be a bit of a look at, because that was a bit unnecessary, but unfortunately I think that's the type of coming out of, obviously, Panasonic, but like I say, it is one of them, and I think, you know, as I say, we are here to commentate, we are here to do a job, but, you know, the racing is close as it is. It could go one way or another, but we will see. It's obviously nothing. It's nothing to get hyped up about. It's nothing to get upset at. It's just how it is. But you know, it's not down to us. We just do the commentating. I'll tell you what, guys, we are looking forward to race 3, and obviously, you know, fair play. These guys are putting up some fights, but we'll see what happens in race 3 in a few moments' time.
Let's just wait for everyone to sort of recuperate and enter, and then we'll start the final race. Just waiting for Timmy and Ryan Ross to enter.
Yeah, I believe Chris Wheatley's also needs to enter.
Yeah, someone's entered. I can't see who that was.
Let's have a look. I think they need to be sensible what they do as well, but I'd leave what happens in the chat, mate. It's, you know, let the stewards deal with it. As much as you want to say something, just leave it down to them, because you don't want to get yourself in a bit of bother. I've
learned that the best way to prove a point to someone isn't to just shunt them off at any corner.
No, it's not.
You just got to beat them fair and square in a race.
Exactly, mate. All I'm going to say is, like I say, we're here to do commentating. We're not here to get involved in what's going on track. It's down to them. Obviously, yeah, fair play is your championship, and I can understand you're a bit frustrated, but you know, it's not what you can do, mate. It's down to the stewards, and it's down to them to just take responsibility for themselves. But it seems to be like one's blaming one and one's blaming the other. But hey ho, race 3 will be a cracker, mate, so don't worry.
Just asking Chris to enter, and then we should be
ready to go.
So we're going to have NSX on pole.
Yep.
Chino dropped out.
No, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah, but he did have a good couple of races. Bear in mind he was battling, who was it, Frowney?
Frowney, yeah.
Who,
okay.
You know, just finished 7th, so...
Okay.
Looks like Chris.
I don't think he wants to, so that's fair enough. That we can't make him. So let's go. And let's see what happens for the final race of the evening of the Sholorman Motorsport Honda NSX, the Mugen Masters here at Fuji Speedway. And yes, let's see if race 3 can live up to its expectation from last week. But we will see. So you have Memorexius followed by Brian Ross and Lee Fitzy, followed by Adam Morgan, then Dean, then Ryan, then Tom Holland, Gareth, Tim, and of course Craig Thomas, and then Scott Fenton at the back of the field. But we're about to get the 5 red lights on to the starting entry as they look a bit orange now. The sun is setting, but the green light is about to turn on any moment now, and we get underway for race number 3 here at Fuji Speedway as Memorex gets a very decent start. Who's going to lead into turn number 1? Got Lee Fitzy trying to make a move. Adam Morgan also joining in. Memorex's fair play. He leads the race so far, but there is a bit of bunching and obviously a bit of squirm further back. Got Brian Ross in 3rd place at the moment. Lee Fitzy up into 2nd. You've got Adam Morgan in 2, potentially. Oh, I don't know what to reckon of that. That's obviously twice in a space of 2 races. But we have got none other than Timmy up into 4th, Hattelad in 5th place. You've got Tom Holland having a bit of a battle there. Scott Fenton already trying to make his way up into, just trying to make it 3 wide, going down towards the Dunlop chicane. Who is going to come out on top? It's going to be very interesting. So Ryan McVeigh there in 5th place, Scott Fenton in 6th, Tom Holland in 7th. You got Craig in 8th, you got Dean Atkinson 9th, and Gareth, and then obviously Adam Morgan in 11th. Memorex still leads the race, and you know, I think that opening lap was a bit shades of race 2 there.
Yeah, a lot of contact there, especially with Hattelad was going 3 wide or so out of turn 1. Obviously, naturally a lot of bumping and whatnot, but still not quite what we want.
No, but as I say, the stewards will deal with that. But you know, fair play to Memorex. He's leading. He's probably now his 3rd race, but you know, fair play. He's doing quite well. Got Lee Fitzy there in the yellow and the blue NSX, doing quite well so far. I wouldn't worry about it, but then fair play, you know, you've got this battle. But it is going to be very interesting. Tom Holland in 5th place, followed by the real Osman, followed by Gareth Morris, and of course Dean Atkinson. And I believe, you know, it's going to be quite interesting. But you know, it is, I believe, I'm going to go up to the front, so just bear with while we just get our bearings. But you've got Memorexes probably having a disco now, because he's got this gap from obviously Lee Fitzy there. But you know, it's going to be fantastic to see.
Down by about 3/10 now.
Yeah.
So Lee will have the switch on Bruno.
He will now, but obviously fair play to Bruno. He's obviously, you know, he's putting a lot of things into potentially proportions. He will take probably, obviously, a lot from this to go forward. Obviously, Lee Fitzy's going to try and make a move into turn number 1, using this long straight as his advantage. But it will be potentially one of them. But you know, Lee Fitzy gets. Oh, this is going to be very interesting. Bruno on Lee Fitzy, but look at this. This is fantastic stuff. This is how racing should technically be. You've got Timmy in 3rd place. You've got Scott Fenton in 4th. You've got Craig and Gareth leaning on Tom Holland, but you know, Tom Holland isn't going to give up for 5th, 6th and 7th. And you've got Dean Atkinson trying to chase down potentially these guys as well. You've got Adam Morgan in 9th. You got Brian Ross 10th, Ryan McVeigh in 11th. I believe we are missing one other, but I can't work out who it would be. But
it was Chris Wheatley and...
That's right. Yeah, that's fine. It's okay.
This race, right?
Yeah, but you've got Lee Fitzy still under pressure from Bruno and of course Timmy for 1st place. But you know, fair play, this is going to be interesting stuff. But we still got a long... bit of a way to go within potentially essentially this race, but you know it's going to be very exciting. Obviously Lee Fitzy wants to show these guys how it's done. I believe he's done won a couple of races, but you know it's going to be fantastic to see. I believe Bruno there has got now that gap from Timmy, but Timmy's fighting back with that slipstream. But we will see what happens. It would be amazing if it was. Scott Fenton lurking in the background, praying these guys may make it a bit of an odd mistake, but I don't think that will happen. But you know, fair play, Timmy's trying to make a move on Memorex into turn number 1, which he does. He's actually done it fantastically very well. And you know, fair play to Memorex for, I know he's conceded of a place, but fair play for actually giving him enough room to try and complete the move, which is actually fantastic to see. But he's actually still going to be on that charge. So you've got Scott Fenton in 4th place. There's a bit of a gap to Gareth Morris, followed by Craig and obviously Tom there. But you know, these two are kind of a bit of a battle. You've got obviously Dean and of course Adam Morgan join the party into the fray if any of them two make a mistake. You've got Brian Ross, but I believe Hattalad's decided to call it time. But you know, fair play, Timmy's up now into 1st place where we're going through the field. But you know, this is going to be very exciting with 8.5 minutes remaining of this race. But you know, it's going to be potentially one of them, and you know, it can be, as much as it is very stressful leading a race. But you know, obviously Timmy's going to obviously show him what he's made of. You know, he's obviously had a bit of learned a few moves over the past couple of races this evening. But fair play, Scott Fenton's now onto the back of Memorexis for 3rd place. I believe Lee Fitzy was trying to make a move, as he's going to try and make a move into turn number 1, which he does. So he's going to have to try. Yeah, Scott Fenton's also in the background trying to make a move on Memorexis for 4th. He runs a bit wide, which allows Memorexis back up into 3rd place there. And Gareth Morris is trying to chase this gap down. You've got the Tom Holland versus Dean, and of course Adam Morgan battle now. This is going to be for 7th, 8th and 9th. Potentially going to be one of them, and you know, it is going to be a bit of one of them.
Tim, you're going to get the better exit going down into the Dunlop chicane.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. You've got Memorexis with a 5/10 penalty, but he'll learn from that. You've got Scott Fenton also trying to make the move at the same time, which he does, but fair play. But as I say, Timmy and Lee Fitzy are still battling. But you know, this is probably a bit of a very interesting battle. As I say, you know, it can be a hindrance, obviously leading a race. But you know, Scott Fenton's up into 3rd place. But I believe that's because Memorexis is, you know, he's now with that penalty. He's now trying to figure out, you know, the time to actually get the racing. But he'll learn from that. Hopefully, he'll get into the rhythm. You know, I believe he's just do it, but you know, it's going to be very interesting. But Scott Fenton now will be on the charge. Timmy and Lee Fitzy are still battling. Don't know what's exactly.
Throw it down the inside of whatever corner is next. Is that 130R?
I believe that's the. I think 130R's at Suzuka, but they've got the 300. They've got the 300R, so he's going into Coca-Cola, trying to make a move there. But it's going to be very interesting going into the hairpin. Lee Fitzy tries to go on the outside. Is he going to make the inside into the Waycross hairpin? No, he's not. Excuse me. Scott Fenton is in 3rd place, but it's going to be very interesting. Yep. So as you can tell, the gaps are a bit a bit of gaps now. Tom Holland, unfortunately, in 9th place. Got Brian Ross in 10th place. Obviously, Hattelad's decided to retire from the race. So, you know, it is going to be very interesting. Memorex is still doing a good job in 4th place. Scott Fenton now trying to chase onto the back of Lee Fitzy, and of course, Timmy with just under 5 minutes remaining. But this is going to be very interesting. Is Lee Fitzy going to make the slipstream work going down this long straight here at Fuji?
Seems to be a very sort of similar exit to Timmy.
Yeah.
He's already gaining a fair bit of time.
So it's going to be very interesting. As I say, guys, you know, it is going to be very interesting to see what happens with 4.5 minutes remaining. But, you know, this is Lee Fitzy thinks about trying to make the move on the outside. But Timmy's there. He's actually cut back. He's actually done very well to cut back in front of Lee Fitzy. But Lee Fitzy's not giving up, going down towards Coca-Cola. This is going to be very interesting, as we've got this battle for first place. Potentially is one of them. It's obviously to the 300R now. But this is going to be probably amazing as we go into the Waycross hairpin. Oh, I can't believe what I am seeing. You know, this could be another first time victory for either of these two, or is Scott Fenton going to pounce and take another victory? But we shall see. Memorex will be a bit under pressure from Gareth Morris for 4th place, but so far he's doing quite a good job to try and hold off Gareth Morris. But we'll go back to this battle between Timmy and obviously Lee Fitzy for the time being. Scott Fenton's obviously now into the clutches of these guys, so you know he's gonna be probably pouncing on these guys with 3 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock, as my voice nearly runs out of power there. But you know, it's going to be very interesting. Timmy's trying to eke out that lead from Lee Fitzy going into Panasonic. You've got obviously Bruno trying to hold off Gareth Morris in the background, so the pink versus the green and white car. But Lee Fitzy is trying to latch on still the back of Timmy and Scott Fenton, the unwanted guest to the party. But you know, this is going to be very interesting. It's obviously Scott's first time in these cars, but you know, he knows how to put the car in very interesting positions as Lee Fitzy tries to make a move on the outside into turn number 1. Has he got the move done? No, he hasn't, but Scott Fenton's also alongside, but there could be 3 wide going towards Coca-Cola any moment. But you know, this is going to be fantastic. Moz has got past Memorexis in the background, but this is going to be interesting. There's a bit of contact trying to make it 3 wide into the 300R. Lee Fitzy is going to try and make a move on the exit of 300. But I believe into the Waycross hairpin, Lee Fitzy now gets the lead of the race again. Scott Fenton, they're going to try and make it 3 cars for the lead at the moment. This is going to be interesting as we break towards the Dunlop chicane for the penultimate time. This is going to be very interesting. Timmy thinks about making a move. He does. He runs a bit deep. Scott Fenton takes the 2 of them, but Scott runs a bit wide, a bit contact. But you know, but fair play. They've give each other a bit of room to. But you've got Memorex. He's, you know, he's doing so well into 4th place at the moment. But this is going to be very interesting. Gareth Morris, and of course, Memorex has a bit of a spin. It wasn't really a tap from Gareth, because I think he just lost it a bit. Craig Thomas there in 6th place, but you know, just
people drop it at that corner especially. So
yeah, that corner's been a bit. It's obviously a bit. But fair play to Memorexis. He's actually now still in 5th place. You've got Dean Atkinson and of course Adam Morgan chasing each other down. This is going to be fantastic with a lap to go. You've got Tom Holland still in 9th place, Brian Ross having a bit of a battle here, but I believe Hattelad has rejoined. He's a couple of laps down, but you know, I do feel sorry, but you know, it is one of them. Scott Fenton and Lee Fitzy, and of course Timmy, as we just joined the battle, going in towards the Waycross hairpin at the moment, but we're into 300R. Lee Fitzy picks up a bit of a penalty there, which is going to hamper him. Scott Fenton in the lead of the race on the final lap of the race. This is going to be very interesting heading towards Dunlop, but it is going to be one of them. It can be potentially interesting, as I say, but you know, it's going to be very hard to pick a winner because Gareth Morris is also now lurking in the background. But you know,
Just got up quite sharpish.
he's obviously got that gap from Memorexi's, as he's done, as we see Adam Morgan in 7th place ahead of Dean Atkinson. But this will be probably very interesting. You know, Lee Fitzy probably thinks, you know, I'm obviously I've done so well, but Scott Fenton, fair play to him, he's going to take another victory. But then you've got Timmy trying to close the gap to Lee Fitzy, but it is going to be very hard. You've got Scott Fenton about to come and take the checkered flag for the 2nd time this evening. Lee Fitzy is probably going to think, oh, that's a bit of a shame, but fair play. He just missed out on a podium, but fair play, he finishes 4th. Real Osman and also brilliant drive from Bruno for taking 6th place. Adam Morgan in 7th, Frowney in 8th. Tom Holland comes home in 9th place, and then Brian Ross in 10th. Hattelad in 11th. But I'll tell you what, Will, despite with the argy-bargy, fair play to Scott Fenton though, trying to make them bold moves again.
Taking 2 wins out of 3 races, just a shame that he can't show up to any more.
Yeah.
Honestly, that race 2 victory maybe snatched from him after
a bit of that contact. I'll just save the replays.
Well, let me save it for some reason.
So I'll share them later, mate. But I'll go through the final results of race number 3 here at Fuji Speedway. Scott Fenton takes another astounding victory with Timmy in 2nd. Gareth Morris actually takes 3rd. Lee Fitzy misses out on his first ever podium in the Honda NSX Mugen Masters in this race. Craig Thomas comes home in 5th, followed by Bruno. Fair play to Bruno, he did very well so far in the race, along with Adam Morgan and Dean Atkinson, followed by Tom Holland and Brian Ross. Unfortunately, Ryan McVeigh had a bit of trouble early on and was 4 laps down, so he finishes 11th. But Gareth Morris takes the fastest lap of the race in this 3rd race with a 1:42.97. So it's going to be very interesting. And next week, Will, where are we going to be?
I'm not sure. Hold on, let me just check. We are going to Suzuka.
Oh, so we're back.
Still in Japan.
So still in Japan, and we are at Suzuka, and I believe it is on the Grand Prix circuit, or is it on the East?
It will be on the full Grand Prix circuit.
So it'll be on the full.
The guys that were in the Porsche and Ferrari event last Friday, they might have a bit of an advantage.
Yes, so we'll see how well they do at Suzuka, and I will be interesting to see what happens. So I'm going to stop the stream here, guys. I've been Hoppers and Will's been joining me this evening. Thank you for joining us. Hope you've enjoyed the stream, and we will see you at Suzuka next week. So cheers, guys. I will see you later.
Okay.